Today I lie, lie, lie. Today I lie, 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 lie. I lie, lie, lie. So good morning, everyone. So good to see you. So good to welcome you back to our community. Good to see all of you. So nice to see us wishing Mazel Tov to Patricia, saying good morning to each other. Kim, so glad a year after your new knee, you posted this beautiful picture with a friend in the park. Mazel Tov on the return to the sunshine, to running, to walking. May we all be part of a healing journey. This is a week leading into Pesach, and because Pesach falls on Shabbat, there is no other Torah reading, and so that will be our learning for the days leading in. And I hope that for some of you who might be leading Seder, and all of us who are blessed to go to a Seder, have the chance to lead part of the conversation. It's just what it is to be there, to be in conversation about memory and the redemption from Egypt and what it means for us today. What I want to do is pick up a different piece of Pesach each day and share a thought. Maybe that'll be useful to you for your Seder. Maybe it'll simply be preparing our hearts. Excuse me. Take some naps before Seder so you don't fall asleep during it. So, this is one of my favorite Haggadot. You can see it's not a new one. This is the Maxwell House Haggadah from 1938. General Foods Corporation produced this. It used to be that this was a Haggadah, and maybe still is, that you could pick up in your grocery store if you bought enough kosher for Pesach food. Um, and if you look, it's very powerful to see the calendar that they offered on the inside cover for 5 years, starting in 1938, so that you'd always know what day Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, and everything were falling. So this is Maxwell House coffee, and as it says, good, good to the last drop, kosher for Passover. And this was a very powerful tradition. In fact, the fact that Maxwell House Haggadot were free made them the most popular Haggadot. And so you have probably lots of editions in family archives. And there are new Haggadot every year produced by lots of people. But what a beautiful thing it is to be able to hold a piece of tradition, American Jewish tradition, where the Maxwell House Haggadah defined and became the standard. So, how strange it is how tradition evolves. In America, many Jewish households, until fairly recently, this was the Haggadah. And so, I want to share a little bit of the Haggadah with you today. And to be able to hold this up as an artifact of American Jewish history is very special to me. The color front page, Joy, that you have might be the red and yellow one. That's the one that I had growing up for some time until my parents bought what was called the Feast of Freedom, a Haggadah produced by the Rabbinical Assembly, the global movement of conservative rabbis, um, in solidarity with Soviet Jewry that couldn't escape. And that leads me to say something about this. This Haggadah tells the story in a very traditional way. It's related of four famous rabbis: Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Joshua, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, and Rabbi Akiva. Sorry, five. And Rabbi Tarfon. They once met on Pesach in Bnei Brak. And listen to what it says. And they spoke of the departure from Egypt all night until their disciples came and said, Masters, it's time to read the morning Kriyat Shema. So this is what I want to say. Whenever we start talking about Pesach, it's very hard to stop. But that's not only because the history is so rich and the cinematography and the Hollywood versions are so compelling. In fact, it's such a great tradition to watch the Ten Commandments and to also watch the Prince of Egypt, two incredible, strange, and very different midrashim, imaginative versions of Passover. But when you really start talking about Pesach, it's hard to stop because it is not done. Liberation as a story needs to continue to be examined. In fact, we say the Shema by tradition, that section of the Torah. We say it at least twice a day. And the end paragraphs of Shema are all about remembering the exodus from Egypt. Why is it so important? Why did it keep those five sages in Bnei Brak 2,000 years ago up all night? And think about the inconvenience of staying up all night in the ancient world 2,000 years ago. It's not that you have food or coffee that you could just bring out with the ease that so many of us do. It's not that you can keep the lights on the way that we can choose to. Telling the story of Egypt in the ancient world is actually incredibly complicated and demanding. It's not easy to tell the story, and in fact, when you really get to it, the story is not so pleasant. We don't want that story to be true. We don't want that to have ever happened to us. But the reason why we have to tell the story over and over is the very same reason that the Torah tells us 36 times to remember when we were oppressed in Egypt so that we can never, ever oppress the other. We are called to be present in our ancient degradation, in our enslavement, so that we can be present in the world because slavery is still true. We can examine the meanings of freedom, but you and I know that at the very basic level, slavery is real. So I want to share with you one moment that brought this into sharp relief. I will try to share both the depth of Pesach's story and also the excitement of it throughout this week. But when I was in Poland at the Ukrainian border, just just over 2 weeks ago, although it feels like a million years ago and I'm still there, I was there with a group of rabbis, and one of our stops was at a train station. And I hope that you've been paying attention to the story that is ongoing in Poland right now, where refugees continue to cross the border. Why? Because they are running for their lives. That is a story that we well know, because that's our story, friends. We ran for our lives. Crossing the sea was not a gentle stroll. Crossing the sea was running because Pharaoh's army, after everything Egypt had suffered, was still chasing us. That is a story that we are still in because the world is still in it. Mitzrayim is a word that really can be understood as Meitzarim, narrow waters, that you run for your life to cross. You make sure to grab your children, grab your older family members, grab yourself, be held by God and run for it. And what's holding those waters up is another way of saying, how am I okay? And then to sit in it, friends, to sit in it and say, I don't know how I'm okay, but bless you, God. Bless you, my ancestors. Bless you, my friends, my allies. Bless you, strange history that has led me to be okay and free. Free to use the strength that I've been given, the bounty of my life, to be of service to others. Friends, it is so important for us to understand that our journey as a people is ongoing. And though this Haggadah was written in 1938, just imagine what it was in 1938 to sit down for Seder and to face the world as it is, to look, as Valerie just said, to look for the blessing among the danger and the fear. To look for the blessing, friends. Valerie, you said it. Thank you. There's so much to share. These stories are ones that we know in our own family ancestry. They are also true right now for countless people around the world, too many people. And yet the stories of freedom are not common enough because there are so many who are still aching for freedom, who don't yet have freedom. So friends, I want to ask us as we prepare our cherished recipes, as we think about making the Seder deep and meaningful, let us sit with gratitude for the power of our own ability to think about these things. I'm sitting at the headquarters of an organization, Valerie, as you pointed out yet again, that has been part of extending freedom not only for the Jewish people, but through the Jewish people for the world. When I traveled to Poland, I didn't travel to go save Jews. I traveled to bring Jewish attention to an ongoing crisis and our Jewish obligation to respond with all the strength we are blessed to have. So friends, I hope that Pesach is alive in you. I hope that your Pesach dishes and your contact paper or your tin foil, but most of all, your heart is preparing for the holiday to come. We are so lucky. We are so lucky to have Pesach. We are so lucky to have these rituals that remind us We're so grateful. I am so grateful that we have each other in this moment so that Arlene, like you said, we can sit with gratitude. Lori, like you said, we can say the tradition, Kol Dichbin, invite in a stranger, knowing that that is actually an obligation, so that we can sit in our blessing and let it in, so that we can be strong after 2 years of Seders that were not as they were supposed to be. We are blessed this year with more of Pesach than we had last year, more than we had 2 years ago. May we be strong. May we live our story. May we feel the miracles surging within us so that we can be present and write a new Haggadah that feels a little bit less current. May our world one day know more freedom. So, friends, with love for you, gratitude for the community that we continue to build all of these mornings, friends, all of these mornings. May you be blessed. May those around you be blessed. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May the Pesach that you experience, that we each experience this coming week, find us grateful. Let's sing our way into a good day. Ya la 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 la, diddy ya la la la, diddy ya la 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 la, ay ay la la la, ay la 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 la, diddy ya la la la, diddy ya la 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 la, ay la la la. Bless you, friends. Have a beautiful day. See you tomorrow morning. Take care.